Hi, BookTube. Welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I am Jackie, and I'm finally off again. Although I technically have some time, a good amount of time where I am gonna be off for a few days, and then when I was supposed to go to the convention, I was gonna be off a little bit longer. But I did volunteer since that's the case. Since that's not happening because of the stupid pandemic. Um, That I ended up volunteering for a couple to do some cart cleaning next week. A couple only 2 days because first of all they told me that was available, and then I did not want to get like anything past 1 o'clock, but I didn't want to get anything earlier, like before the sun even came up. No, well, all right. To be fair, we haven't been opening up at that time, but so 9 to 1. There were only 2 days that still had a 9 to 1 available time slot to do the whole cleaning the carts. Although I should have told her that I would rather do the little side, the smaller lobby over the bigger lobby, but I was like, oh, I don't mind. They both have their pros and cons, which is true. I mean, with the big lobby, there's a place to sit, but the little lobby doesn't have as much to clean. So I mean, but anyway. So right now I'm kind of on a. I've gone. I think I've. Of course, I get interrupted by that. But although I think I'm out of again. I think I'm getting back into the group of reading. And although I really shouldn't have been worried because I'm not one of those people who, like, right now I know, unfortunately, a lot of people are having trouble getting into reading because of what's going on, and they're feeling like, okay, I should be paying more attention to that, and they're just not feeling books because, you're just in a bad place right now in the world. But I was able to get back into reading. The only thing that can stop me from reading is if I get distracted by my other obsessions, which is kind of what happened in June. You guys know about how I got into the new Charmed, and I have been obsessed with it, but then finally I moved on, was able to think about my other obsession. There was a few other things that I was getting into, um, like other like shows and movies, and then my mom surprised me and got Disney Plus, which was awesome. And I think originally she got it for me because she knew I loved Hamilton. I wanted to see it, but I could never actually because first of all, it's hard to get tickets because it's still kind of a new thing. And second of all, Broadway, you can't go. It's not like with the movies where it's like $8 or $9 or like 15. To go see a Broadway play. It's like $100 or more just to see a Broadway show. So thankfully Disney Plus decided to put the original production on there. And my parents were like, my dad wasn't sure he was going to get into it or not. And, but then my sister and brother-in-law were like, it's actually really good. So and my my cousin Jennifer was kind of surprised that my parents hadn't got it for me yet, but I hadn't asked them because I didn't want to. I like didn't want to. I know that it's not. My mom pays mostly for the cable, so and she already has trouble with it anyway. She has to kind of negotiate. And like we've been going back and forth lately when keeping Spectrum or just getting a new thing like Apple TV, or we got YouTube TV for a month or two. And then she finally got Spectrum back. Although I don't know if we're gonna keep that. She might get rid of it and go back to YouTube TV. But she was like, she surprised me and got it because like I said, my sister and brother-in-law thought it was worth it, and Hamilton was actually good. And my dad ended up liking it because we watched it that morning when I found out that we got Disney Plus. And so my mom was like, we'll keep it, and we'll keep it, we'll hold on to it for a month. And then if you want to keep it, then maybe you can be the one to pay for it. So I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to let her. And I've been telling myself that, also on a more practical side, that maybe it'll be good for me to learn to pay more, have more responsibilities, more bills to pay. Because I already sort of pay them rent. and like not exactly like they don't call it rent, but I do give them money at the end of every month into the beginning of the new month. So I'm telling myself, well, it's good for me to have another bill because then I'll learn. And but I mean, it's having Disney Plus is like, in my opinion, it's too good not to have because there's so many like all these Disney, and Disney doesn't just own, isn't just their animated movies. Which brings me to my latest obsession right now, which is funny because I always liked this universe, but now that I can binge it, I love it even more. And that's the Marvel universe, particularly the Avengers. And I already loved it before. I already enjoyed it before, and I was already interested in it. But it wasn't until we got Disney Plus, and now I can watch it and go through all the movies that I missed because I'm one of those people. I do not like going to the movies by myself. Not out of fear or anything, but I just don't want to go. It's not fun for me to just go and sit in the theater by myself. I mean, maybe there is a sense of anxiety that being in there by myself without anyone around that I'm familiar, sitting around a bunch of strangers. I mean, there is a little bit of that, but either way, I just don't like going to the movies by myself. It's not fun. But my dad is not one of those people who wants to spend like $8 or $9 to go see a movie that he's not entirely as 100% into, and the same with my mom. And of course my mom will just fall asleep anyway. She's that person that will fall asleep during the movie because she's worked hard all day, she has her job, and then takes care of the house, and so she cannot sit still for a movie because she's always thinking about, oh, I gotta do this, and even in the movie theater, yeah, she doesn't have anything to do, but she'll still like fall asleep. And never mind, my dad must be talking on the phone. My uncle's gonna come and visit this weekend, so I don't know when that's gonna happen. I think he's gonna get here supposedly around 4. But anyway, well, I guess now or soon, and some time between 4 and 5, I guess. But anyway, so like I hadn't gotten there was a lot of Marvel movies that I had not seen yet. And and then when even if it comes on TV, then I'm not in the mood for it because I'm sidetracked by other movies and shows I want to watch, or watching YouTube or / BookTube, or I'm reading. I want to get some reading done. So by the time they come on TV, I'm not in that mood at the time to watch them. So finally, when we got Disney Plus, I watched Hamilton first, of course, and I watched a couple of Disney movies, the classic Disney movies that I don't have, like Sword in the Stone, Robin Hood. There's one more. I can't remember what the third one was. But I was watching all those movies that I don't have on DVD, and they're some of my favorites. Oh, The Great Mouse Detective, that was the other one. That was actually my first exposure to Sherlock Holmes because it's inspired by Sherlock Holmes with mice. And so I decided to watch this, and then I remember that I see the Marvel block, and it's like, oh, that's right, Marvel, they own Marvel too, so why don't I go ahead and binge watch the Marvel movies, or at least watch the ones that I hadn't watched. Like, the only Marvel movies, I think I've seen all the Avengers movies. I've seen Captain America and Thor 1. I've seen both those first 2 movies. And, of course, I saw some of the original Spider-Man stuff, like the Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, and those are great. I just do not like Tobey. I'm just not a huge fan of Tobey Maguire. I mean, in fact, when he makes his cry face, he looks like he's constipated. And, of course. Alright, come on. And, I saw the Andrew Garfield. I definitely like Andrew Garfield. I'm one of the minority here about Andrew Garfield. I liked his performance, but I know a lot of people were like, he doesn't fit the role. He's not nerdy enough or dorky enough for it. He's too handsome, I guess, and too cool looking. So I saw that one, but I haven't seen the ones with Tom Holland. Tom Holland is adorable, though. He's a sweetie. That's and he's a few years younger than me. He's like 20, probably almost 30, like late 20s. And it's really funny because I've been watching interviews, and it looks like Tom, because he's the baby of the group out of all the Avengers, he's the youngest. So they will constantly give him a hard time and tease him, especially Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan, and they're all like, he drinks juice boxes and he's very demanding, and it's just funny to watch that relationship. And in the YouTube comments for those interviews and stuff, they'll people will like classify them as like Robert Downey Jr. is the father of the group, and Ben is like his babysitter / uncle, Benedict Cumberbatch, and Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan are like the older brothers who are picking on him all the time. And then Tom Hiddleston is like the one comment said he was like the uncle, and then was like another uncle, and then some. But my favorite one is saying that he's the mom. He's like the mom in the relationship. But it's funny. And you two shed too much. My dog shed a lot. There's the problem with one of the problems, they shed like crazy. But so, and then let's see, any other movies? I think I got all of them. I think I've got all the ones that I've seen, and now I'm catching up and watching, like, now I've seen all 3 Thor movies, and which, by the way, if I had to pick out of all the Marvel movies, as far as the movie altogether, I would say Thor Ragnarok is my favorite out of all the movies. It's the best one. Taika Waititi did an amazing job and made that movie so entertaining and so funny, and I think he brought out the best in both Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston. They're, it's so funny and so great. The music's good too. Like, I like the main song. I don't know what it's called, but I've heard it before on the radio and stuff. But something about Ice and Snow, where when Thor does his, is fighting, like, in the beginning scene, in the opening scene, and then towards the climax of the movie when he, but it's just, like, that's my favorite. I think out of all the Marvel movies so far, that's my favorite one. And they're, like, I've seen now, Captain Marvel and Black Panther. I finally saw that one. And then I saw, which my dad has actually seen that one. My dad did see that one when it came on TV. And then I've seen, and then all 3 Captain America movies are now, like, I watched, and then all 3 Thor movies. And then, I think the next one I'm gonna watch is Doctor Strange. And then I think after that, I'll probably go through all the Spider-Man movies. Oh, and then Guardians of the Galaxy, the Volume 2, I gotta watch that one also. Because I've seen the first one, I have not seen the second one. I'm almost caught up, just slowly working my way through, and then and like I said, I'm gonna probably, I'm gonna volunteer to pay and so we can keep Disney Plus. Which I don't know, I don't know if I'm gonna have to give her, or maybe like in a month I'll have to, write a check or something. I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna, I believe she's gonna pay for this first month, and then I guess the next month I will start paying for it. But anyway. So yeah, that's right now my number 1 obsession. And then I kind of deviated on another route of watching, basically staring at Tom Hiddleston and watching all his interviews, because Loki is my second favorite and Tom is just gorgeous, and he could narrate a phone book and I would just love listening to it. It's a damn British accent. It's about the British accent. It's so soothing and seductive. But so that was, and I'm trying to watch as much, and I wanted to watch Crimson Peak because I had seen that when it first came out, when it finally came to TV. I saw it, but I only saw some of it. I didn't see the whole thing, I don't think. And originally, I think the reason why, at the time, I was like, oh, Tom Hiddleston, okay, cool, because I kind of liked, but Jessica Chastain was in it, and so was, and Mia Wazowski, I think, and probably not saying her name right, but who played Jane Eyre in the 2011 version, and she was Alice in Tim Burton's version of Alice in Wonderland. Which I guess I'm the minority here in that I love those movies. His version of Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. But it was mostly because she was in it, and I like Jessica Chastain too. So I watched it, and I'm really liking it. It kind of gave me vibes of like Jane Eyre and Rebecca. I don't think I had read Rebecca at the time, or I might have. And I just finished reading it. But it had that similar feel kind of story to it, where a mysterious guy, our main character, is a vulnerable young woman who doesn't have a lot of experience, falls for the mysterious sexy guy, and is taken to his gothic mansion, and then it's haunted, and this hauntedness to it, but anyway, so, like, I watched it, so I know what happened, I got a pretty good idea, I remember what happens. And I'm not 100% sure on the ending, though. Like I said, I do remember, but I don't remember at the same time. Like, I think I know what happens at the end, but I'm not 100% sure if it works out that way or not. I'm pretty sure it does work out the way I think it does. But, so I decided to look for it on Netflix last night, and of course it's not there. There are titles that are like Crimson Peak, which is kind of annoying. I mean, I guess Netflix is being like, well, we're sorry, this movie is not there, or this show is not on there, but we'll recommend things that you will enjoy just as much. But my first thought is, no, I don't want something that is similar to it. I don't want something that I think I'll enjoy. I want the thing that I want to watch. So, it's not there, unfortunately, but, goodness, the boy was there. I was very happy about the boy was still there. I thought it had been taken off Netflix, but it's still there. Hopefully it will still be there by October, because that's a horror film I want to watch around October. And then Emma, which I was surprised was not there either, with the new movie that just came out. I would think that at least one of the versions would be there. Unfortunately, there was a particular version, and I did find on YouTube, but the version of the video I watched, sadly, was decent quality. I mean, although it was one of those ones where they have the thing on the screen on the side, but then there's the little screen of the actual film, which I would have been fine with to watch it, but then, I mean, I appreciate that the person uploaded it and put it on YouTube, but and I get why sometimes people will mess with it so that it won't get taken down, but the problem is that the way they did that was to lower the audio quality of the actors' voices, or I guess make it higher, not lower, to the point where all the people sound like chipmunks. I mean, and the only person that was close, although people said that the character of Harriet Smith, I'm talking about Emma, by the way, the movie version of Emma, or I guess miniseries is the one I was looking for. Some comments were saying that the actress played Harriet Smith. It was not much different. But I think the only one that wasn't too different as far as pitch was the guy who played the dad, Michael Gambon. He was the only one that I could still, hear his natural voice, but it was still a little higher. And that kind of annoyed me a little bit. But I appreciate that the person took the time to upload it. But I'm going to try to I did find another version of it, another one, but I don't know how much of the miniseries on there. How much of the actual, like, the miniseries is actually, like, how much the whole miniseries it is, maybe, but anyway, I want to watch this particular version because, and not, which, it's not the main character that I wanted to, and it's not actually Emma or Knightley or anything, it's really another character that an actor that I like is playing, and that is the guy, is Rupert Evans from The New Charmed, and he was in the movie The Boy. He's the original, the first one. He's the guy who's like, I can read can read you via your gum, which I still think is, like, really gross, because, I mean, it was in her mouth. But anyway, sorry, again, I keep checking because I know my uncle's is coming soon. But anyway, so let's get to the actual what this channel is actually about, which is books. Okay, so as far as books go, I went ahead and decided to read some books that I knew that I could get through quickly, which were The Night Country. Actually, I can grab both of them. I don't have them. I can show you both of them. These two, The Night Country, which is a sequel to Melissa Albert's The Hazelwood, which was her debut, and the sequel to, which I think this was, Nevermore was also this author's debut. This is the sequel to Nevermore, The Calling of Morgan Crow, and Wondersmith, The Calling of Morgan Crow. This is middle grade, this is YA, and usually I go through middle grade and YA pretty quickly. So this, it's a sequel, so it doesn't pick up where the first two books left off. In this one, our main character, sorry Sophie, my dog twitched a little bit when I left the book. The Night Country is like our main character Alice is trying to pick up where she left off. You know, in the first book where she's trying to have a normal life. In case you haven't read The Hazelwood, the first book is about this girl named Alice. It's her and her mom have been on the run for years. They're constantly moving, and so they come to, I think it's New York. I think they're in New York. They finally end up in New York where her mom gets a new husband, and so Alice gets a stepsister. And but then Alice, her whole life, she's always been told by her mother to stay away from her grandmother's famous collection of fairy tales called The Hazelwood. It's about these really creepy, weird fairy tales, like kind of a darker, even more darker version of the Grimms and Hans Christian Andersen stories. But then all of a sudden her mom ends up being kidnapped, and she starts seeing these characters from her grandmother's collection of fairy tales. So she has to go find her mom and save her, but she also needs to contact someone who is a super fan of her grandmother's, this young man named Ellery Finch, and because she's starting to realize that her grandmother's fairy tales may not be fiction at all. And the second one is, now that she's been through this experience with her grandmother's fairy tales, it's about her trying to get back to a normal life and trying to adapt to her situation. But some things are not quite, of course, you know, you wouldn't have a story or a conflict unless things were just not quite right in the Hinterland, which is the fairy tale world that her grandmother's stories come from. And now the Hinterland is coming back for Alice and intend for her to help them. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm trying to not spoil the first book. But anyway, I got through this pretty quickly. It's really fun. I like this. I like how the fairy tales are a little bit more unique and twisted. Like, there's a gothic feel to them, to the fairy tales, and I love these covers. And I originally was going to read this book back in, for the Myth Taker Readathon, because one of the prompts was to read a book with a foiled cover, but then I decided not to go that path, so I ended up not reading it for this, and I also ended up not participating in the readathon anyway, because I was feeling this pressure and anxiety, and I couldn't decide, I couldn't narrow down my books, and there were so many books I wanted to read. But anyway, this is such a good series so far. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I love the covers of these books, and it's just really fun and edginess to it. I like Alice's character. I also like Ellery Finch, the boy who helps her in the first book. And we get more of the different types of fairy tale characters in this book. And it's very interesting. Like, some of these stories are really intriguing. And there's, like, a certain quality, I feel like, to fairy tales. A certain writing style that's very unique and interesting and whimsical. You know, there's, like an innocence but also a darkness to fairy tales, because originally fairy tales were not meant for kids. They were, but they were meant to teach lessons. It was a darker, and like a little more disturbing way to teach a kid not to trust strangers, or not to get lost, or you know, or what will happen if you lie, or like if you get too greedy, and all the, like, a very nasty, unpleasant way to teach a kid a lesson. Um, but anyway, the so this oh, and I like the end. I like the end. Nope, it's not. I know a lot of people get annoyed with the dust jackets, but I keep them on because if the books are kind of plain on the inside, on the naked hardcover, I don't like that. Like, but this was so fun, and I feel like these books are really quick to get through. Like, they're not as long. And then, okay, so next we have, and then the other book I finished was Wondersmith, which, like I said, is a sequel as well. This one took me a little bit longer, more time, but I still got through it quickly. It's basically, so if you didn't read the first one, it's Nevermore, The Calling of Morgan, I can't remember what the first one, Nevermore, I can't remember what the rest of the title was of the first one. The Trials of Morgan Crow. In the first one, Morgan is this 10-year-old girl going on 11. Everyone keeps getting the age mixed up, but I think I distinctly remember them saying it would be her 11th birthday. But Morgan is this, like I said, I think she's 10 years old in the first book, and she lives in this little village where her dad is the mayor, her father is the mayor of the community, and she's known as a cursed child. She was born on an unlucky month, and has been told all of her life that because she's cursed, everything bad that happens in the community, every little penny thing, like if it rains, or if someone is late paying a bill, but I don't think they have bills in this world, that it's Morgan's fault. And at the end of every month, she always has to write apology letters. So in this community, the kids of this community will be, once a year, they will receive a message from a patron who will come and take them as their apprentice. And they think Morgan will not get that because she's a cursed child, but she ends up getting getting quite a few patrons that are volunteering and asking for her to take her on, which is very, like I said, very surprising. Oh, and on top of that, she's also told that on her 11th birthday, she will die. So she's all set for that. But then one of the patrons who wrote, one of the people who was Jupiter North, and Jupiter shows up right before she turns 11 and whisks her away, just as she turns 11, to the mysterious world of Nevermore, where she must participate in a series of trials to get into the infamous Wonder Society, where she will find a family, she will go to school. While in the second one, it's all about the aftermath of that, and how things don't go as well as she hoped for her. For everything seems like, even though the first book ended on a good note, on a positive note for Morgan, things are not, as easy. And again, you wouldn't have a story if you didn't have a conflict. Again, this is another fun series. Like, it has some Harry Potter-esque aspects. Like, there's a school, of course. There's a character that's kind of chosen for something. And there's this magic whimsiness, and there's this world is so new to Morgan, and she's discovering and everything, and there's magic, sort of a type of magic involved, and but it feels more like a little bit like more Wonderland-esque with this world, at least in the first book. And there's some creepiness to it too. Like there are some creeping aspects to this plot that are just really eerie, and I would love to see like an adaptation of it. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people will probably say like an animated adaptation, but my first thought is always a live action adaptation over an animated one, because then you can have live actors. But hi Sophie. But I'm sure a lot of people, especially from Middle Grade, would say animated for something like this. But either way, I would love to see this on the screen and see how someone would create all this, especially the creepier aspects of this, in my opinion. And I definitely, maybe it's because I'm not binging the series. I'm reading. There's a lot of time in between my readings of each book. Like the third one hasn't even come out yet. I don't know when it's going to come out, because again, that's one of the things that got delayed because of the pandemic, because like people can't really go shop and can't physically go to, although now stores are slowly opening up, but people can't like go to the store as much. So a lot of publishers have not put a lot of books that were supposed to come out are not coming out, and the same with TV shows. A lot of TV shows that were supposed to start filming or was just to come out this year did not happen because, like, you know, going back to Marvel, there was going to be a Loki TV series, and Tom Hiddleston is going to be Loki. I just can't think of anyone else. I mean, I'm a firm believer in giving another actor a chance to play the part, but at the moment, I can't think of anyone else to play it, so I'm very glad that he is. So I don't know when that's going to come. I think it's going to probably come out in 2021. Just like the new season of Charmed is not going to come out until 2021. Which is really frustrating, but I mean, you can't do anything about it, and I don't want the actors to be, you know, have to wear, when they're filming, have to wear face masks, or have to worry about, like, or get sick or anything. So I understand, it's just kind of a pain in the butt. But, so that was also delayed because of the pandemic. And so I don't know if this is going to come out soon or not. I mean, I'm kind of curious if this is going to come out, if the third one's going to come out, which is called Holopox, I believe. According to Goodreads, it's only going to be a trilogy, but I'm wondering if she's going to expand it. But anyway, I also love the magic in this world. Like, Morgan's magic, the magic she is said to develop, is really cool and whimsical and magical and stuff, but it's of course going to be dangerous, and people can exploit it and use it in a more negative way. But still, it's a really, but if you use it for a positive, it's actually it's a really cool form of magic. And I mean, even the title Wondersmith itself is really cool. But I just, you know, like I said, this was really good. I enjoyed it. I had a good time with it. And so, and what I was gonna say is I definitely like this series a little bit better than I like this series better than the Keeper Lost City series, especially because they're not focusing on the relationship drama. They're focusing more on the whole idea of Morgan and this power and how she's not entirely accepted by society because her power could be dangerous, and just her adapting to this new life. It's not focusing on the drama in Morgan's thought. I mean, although this power of hers is a lot, she's not getting like multiple powers like Sophie does. Sophie has so many different abilities. It's like, can you just like tone down a little bit? Like, do you have to give her so many powers, so many different abilities? But it could also be that I binged the series, so, you know, I got it from the library, so I'm not spacing out when I'm reading each book, and then finally I just got tired of all the stuff about it that I wasn't too fond of. But this one is more fun and whimsical and lighthearted, and that one's a little more, you know, dramatic and intense and stuff, and it's like, I thought this was a middle grade series. But anyway, so I finished those, and I decided to come back to David Copperfield by Dickens, and it's going slow because it's hard. It's like hard to get. I'm trying to get back into it. But this is basically about this young man, David Copperfield, and his life from, his birth to his adult when he becomes an adult, and I believe in the back description he becomes a writer. And they say that this is the closest to being autobiographical for Dickens, this particular book. But like I said, I'm trying to get this right because I do want to eventually watch the movie. I want to say the actor's name is Dev Patel, who plays David. But I want to read the book first because I've come to, I definitely going to realize that sometimes when I see an on-screen version first, I don't ever get around to reading the book because I'm unconsciously thinking, oh, I know the story, I don't need to read the book. But it's like I said, it's going slow because Dickens' writing style is like a very slow, more very literary, a very literary style. And I actually watched, with my obsession with Tom Hiddleston right now, there was actually, which, first of all, it makes it's a plus that he likes literature and poetry too. I think of an actor that I crush on likes that kind of stuff, and it's, yes. And he did he participated actually in this thing where it was a debate about who's the quote-unquote superior writer, Dickens or Tolstoy. And him, along with a handful of other actors, performed some scenes from both Tolstoy and Dickens as part of the debate to illustrate the point, the presenter's point about both authors and which one is superior. Which I feel like it shouldn't be about who's better because they're both very different writers. They have different styles and they look at different things in society. So I don't think it should be one or the other. Because so far, I haven't read a lot of Tolstoy yet, but so far from what I've read about him, I do like what I've read so far from Tolstoy, but it's not a lot. I've mostly read Dickens. But I like both so far. I feel like, and like I said, it shouldn't be one or the other because they're just very different authors. I don't think you should compare, but like one of the people who was arguing, the guy who was arguing for Tolstoy, here we are, we're doing this. They were doing it. So, and actually most of the actors doing all the performances all said Dickens, but actually Tom Hiddleston himself was the only one who said Tolstoy, who picked Tolstoy as, for his, who he is more interested in. There's only a few more pages left of the chapter. So that was kind of cool to watch that. To watch that little debate and discussion. But so far I've gone into, I'm pretty, okay, I'm gonna close the door. Let's see, I'm pretty far into it. Because I started a couple months ago. I started my mass market paperback edition, and then I really, as you guys know, I really like these editions, so I started buying these editions of some of Dickens' work. And I almost bought A Tale of Two Cities, another edition too, but then at the time, my mom was like, oh, you can only buy one book. And I was like, well, I'm going to splurge a little bit and get one that does cost a little bit more money than just $5.79. I ended up not getting that one, but I almost regret it. I almost wish I had got that one, but like I said, my mom, requested that I only get one book. So that's a weird thing having to tell me. I'm 31, and I'm like, my mom requested that I only get one book, so I can't buy more than one. But I mean, it's just I respect my mom and I respect her wishes, or at least I like to say, I like to claim that that's what I'm trying to do, being respectful to her requests and stuff, then not spend too much money, because I would feel bad if but anyway, so I'm at the point where he's once again been reunited with the people he met in the beginning when he got his first job as a 12-year-old. The Micawbers, that was his one consolation while working at this, I think it was like a factory or something. That was his one consolation, is he got to live with these really nice people. And so he keeps running into them throughout the series. I mean, it's not serious. Throughout the book, he has run into them again as an adult, and he's also run into some of his old schoolmates as well. And is catching up with them, making friends with them again, and like Steerforth, who I think is his favorite of his school companions, and Traddles. And then, and I don't know who's going to be the love interest, because he gets a lot of crushes on girls, the women he's met, and he's like now he's in love with this woman named Dora, and he was in love with little Emily as they were playmates as they were when they were kids, but then she's now engaged to someone else, and now he's in love with Dora. But I keep thinking that Agnes is going to be the end game for him, but I don't know. I'm not sure though. That might not be the case, but I keep thinking she's going to be the one he's going to end up with in the end, because she's the one that he knows best, that they have the strongest relationship, and she's nicer to him than like a little Emily, and he barely knows Dora. They have barely interacted, but I don't know if that's going to be the case or not. Let's see what. Because it does have, I feel like having the titles for the table of each chapter. Yeah, because there's actually a chapter called, chapter 60 is called Agnes. So I'm wondering if that's when he ends up, because it's towards the end. It's like there's only 5 more chapters after that one, so that could potentially be spoiling the fact that she'll become important, that maybe he'll marry her by the end, because the bad description mentions I didn't realize that. Mr. Micawber is a portrait of Dickens' own improvident father. So that's interesting. It's interesting, especially because we kind of introduced a little bit to his father in Dickens' real life. His father in the movie, The Man Who Invented Christmas, which is about the writing of A Christmas Carol, which I now have, but I'm gonna have to wait until I'm trying to wait, and I'm waiting till Christmas, closer to Christmas, at least November, before I watch that movie. Which is nice. I have another Christmas movie to watch every year. I wish I had a copy of the original version of the Christmas Carol, either the Muppet one or Christmas Carol the musical starring Kelsey Grammer. Those are my 2 favorites. But anyway, so yeah, this is so I'm pretty deep into it. It's just I have a hard time getting into the rhythm of it and reading a lot. I kind of get thrown off whenever, like, if I'm working several days that week, then that kind of throws me off a little bit. But I would like to get this done before the end of the month. So that's David Copperfield. So that's what I'm currently reading. Now let me just show you. So I can show you the books I got from Thrift Books. My first Thrift Books purchase. So it took me a while to get the last one, which I just realized after I put the order in, that, because at first I was like, oh, I'm getting 4 books, because my mom, at first when she was helping me place the order, because I never ordered anything offline, I've never actually done the physical process myself of ordering things online, so she was showing me how to do it, and originally, I think I remember saying, oh, well, then you may as well go ahead and get the other book as well, so I thought, oh, I'm gonna have 4 books, but then I didn't click on it, so I ended up only getting 3 books, which I think my mom was fine with. I mean, my mom was like, yeah, just get 3 books. But I realized after the fact that the 3rd book I got was the 2nd one in the trilogy, or the 3rd one in the trilogy, and I don't even have I have the 1st one, so now I have the 3rd one, but I don't have the 2nd one. So next time I order books from Thrift Books, I'm gonna get the 2nd book in the trilogy. But anyway, so these are the 3 books I got. This is the one that took the longest to get. So I've been wanting to get this edition ever since I saw it at the other used bookstore that was in town, in the other used bookstore in town. I kept seeing this one and I passed it up. So finally I kept wanting to get it. And I kept looking for it at the roast office before all this crap happened. But they never seemed to have it. And then I even looked at Books A Million, and that they didn't have any Gaskell there. So I was a little frustrated. So finally, then I remembered I watched. I can't remember which one it was that did a video on cheaper ways to purchase books. And she had, mentioned used bookstores, and I've always used the excuse of, oh, my mom has Amazon Prime, so she's probably not going to want me to, sign up for another site. But then after I watched the video, I was like, you know what, I'm going to just ask her. And it turns out she's okay with it, because they are cheaper version. It's a cheaper version. But I mean, it's like, we already have Amazon. There's no shipping tax. But then at their books, there's no shipping tax. So it was, all good, and I can actually do it myself. I don't have to, ask her. I mean, I'm still gonna not buy books, right away. I haven't bought anything since. But anyway, but like I said, I'm very tempted to buy something because I am annoyed that I got the third book of the particular trilogy, but I didn't get the second one. That's the one I should have got. That's the one I meant to get. But this is Elizabeth Gaskell's Wives and Daughters. I keep hearing about this from all the booktubers I watch that read a lot of classics. And I did read North and South. I don't have my copy of that anymore because at the time I was like, oh, I liked it, but I'm still like, okay, I need to, start donating books, taking books off my shelf to be donated, and I decided to donate that one. Of course, now I regret that. Especially because I don't have my copy of the miniseries. I showed it to my aunt because I really wanted her to check it out. So I gave it to her, but then this all happened. The pandemic happened, so I haven't been to South Carolina in a long time, so she still has it. I haven't even given her back her DVDs that she let me borrow, and I haven't even gotten to the other, because I watched, because she also, she gave me Langford something, I can't remember, Welcome to Langford or whatever. She gave me that too, and that's an actual series, not a mini series, an actual regular series, and I still have not watched it. So I need to, but at least when we finally can go to South Carolina, I can give her back the other two that she let me borrow. But I've not gotten back, she still has North and South. And, it's not like I'm gonna be like, oh, can you mail me that DVD I let you borrow? Because we do FaceTime, of course. But this is, first of all, I love the pink. I like pink on, things. And sometimes on clothes, but I don't like the idea of, oh, baby girls have to be pink and baby boys have to be blue. You have to paint the room pink because she's a girl. No, I don't like that. I mean, but I do like it on things like books and stuff. But anyway, from what I know, what I've read, the back description, this is basically this young woman and her dad remarries, and she has her own daughter. And it's all about this adjustment period and these girls bonding, and they're completely different from each other, complete opposites of each other, which made me even more intrigued because I'm always looking for more stories about sibling relationship, especially in books, because I find it all the time in TV shows and movies, but I feel like I need to read more books about it. This is a Barnes & Noble. It's just because Barnes & Noble's closed down now. Just like Borders, Barnes & Noble has died out. And I think that's because it's a big company. I don't know how Books A Million manages it, because it's part of the same kind of family. Rascal's asking him to leave my room. But I think a lot of, big, what's the word? Those big companies, big businesses, bookstores, are now kind of slowly going out of business. So Borders a few years ago, and now Barnes and Noble has gone out. So I hope Books a Million doesn't go out of business, because Books a Million has such a better selection than the Roast Office. I mean, I think that other one that I mentioned, where I first saw this copy, I think that one had a pretty potentially decent collection. It could potentially have a decent collection, but I don't know what they're doing now, how things are going for them, because with this whole shutdown and everything, all the pandemic and everything, I hope that they're still able to get back into business soon. I don't remember what the store is called. I'll have to look it up. But anyway, so I hope they were able to get back into the swing of things. I mean, it's a small store, and it's not like it has, it doesn't have a cafe or anything, and they could risk not having as many people come to the store. And unlike the Roast Office is all about donating books, but this store is like you can bring in books and you'll get credit, which I really appreciate. Which I kind of it's probably not something that most people would do, but I remember one of the women that worked there, she was at my store at Harris Teeter shopping, and I was bagging for her, and of course I talked to, the customers and engaged them in conversation. And so I was talking to her, she recognized me, she knows me, knows that I work there, so we talk every time I see her there. And and I did admit that the only downside is that at the other used bookstore they it's not you get credit, and you can buy more books when you give them other books. And now thinking back, it's like, was that okay that I said that? Or that might have offended her or whatever. Because it's like, I mean, it's nothing. It's a good thing that they're taking donations. It's nice, it's a way for them to, it's a charitable thing to do. But like I said, I kind of like that, when I bring in books, I can use that to pay for the books the books I decide to pick up from the store. But anyway, I mean, I'll have to look up. Like I said, I don't remember what the store is called. I'll have to see if they're open for business or not. Maybe one day my dad or my mom can take me up there to get more books. Although I probably need to wait before I buy more books anytime soon. So the other book I ordered was Our Mutual Friend. I like these Penguin editions. The only, you can tell it's used because, first of all, the pages are yellow, but it also has, like, writing in it. And then it's, the spine's not broken, but it has things like this where it's broken here. But this is one that Katie from Books and Things has said this is her favorite Dickens, so I decided, I'll get that Dickens novel next. But this is, like, this guy his dead body is found, by the River Thames, and, like, these guys is kind of debating where his fortune should go. And I think this is a similar plot to the Bleak House. Like, I think it's the same kind of situation where it's, okay, we're deciding who's going to inherit this fortune. So I guess this is on a more smaller scale than Bleak House. I like that sound. But yeah, like I said, because it's one of Katie from Books and Things' favorite books, that's how I decided, okay, I'm gonna get this. This is gonna be the next Dickens I'm gonna buy. But it was really frustrating because Books a Million, and to be fair, like that Books a Million is kind of small anyway, so they don't have the biggest selection. It's not like the one in my old hometown where that was a pretty big store. But I was a bit. Although now I wonder if I don't know how long that store has been there, but I wonder if that physical building has been there if it was originally Borders, because that's what happened. is where the Books A Million in my old hometown used to be Borders bookstore, and then Books A Million took over, so Books A Million replaced the Borders bookstore as far as the building goes. So I'm wondering if this Books A Million was originally a Borders bookstore. I'll have to, next time I go, I'll have to ask them, see if they know. But anyway, so they only had some Dickens, and they were all Dickens that I already had. Like I said, I almost rebought a copy of A Tale of Two Cities, and like another one, that an edition like that, this one, I almost bought it, but then again I passed it up to get a different book. But that one's over. I'm already filming, so I don't want to get up again. But that was Under the Dome. I ended up buying Under the Dome by Stephen King. It's on my wish list. It's on my Amazon wish list. Well, it's not anymore because I bought it, but it was on there originally, so I took it. So I decided to buy it. But I'm really excited to read this at some point. I just don't know when. Like I said, I want to get David Copperfield read, and then I had started Pickwick Papers because I all of a sudden had the urge to read it. Because it was between that one or Bleak House. But I decided that I would save Bleak House for Victober. So I'm trying to get David Copperfield and the Pickwick Papers done before October. So I can read Bleak House for Victober. But anyway. So yeah, I'm slowly growing my Dickens collection. That's probably one of my biggest classic author collections. Although now, because Tom Hiddleston said he that he thinks that Tolstoy is superior right now, I'm gonna have to go ahead and start reading some Tolstoy. But anyway, like I said, it is interesting because there was someone on here said that Tolstoy did not write his own work. It was his wife's writing or whatever. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure, and if that person is still watching, again, I'm not trying to say, oh, you're wrong. I'm just saying, like I said, now I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if what you said is true, or if, again, I'm not trying to doubt you if you're watching this. It's just like, but anyway, so the other one I got was, so this is the Liveship Traders trilogy. This is book 3. I still do not have book 2, but I have another copy of I have a different edition of book 1. It's the same physical size, but the edition is a little very, actually the edition is very 1980s with its illustration on the cover. But I have that one, and like people say that that you should get into, that's the next series you should read. It's like the second one you should get into after you read the Farseer trilogy. So I went ahead and decided I want to go ahead and have the books on hand, because I'm one of those people that with series and stuff, I want to be able to jump into the next book right away or whenever I want to. I don't want to have to wait until I buy it to jump into the next book. So I'm almost done with. I need to read Assassin's Quest, which I'm going to read that. Excuse me. I'm going to read that soon. And then, once I get that one, I can jump into the Mad Liveship Traders because I have the first book, the Mad Ship. And then next time I decide to go on thrift books, then I will get the next book in the trilogy. I will get book 2 in this trilogy. But I don't know much about this, but these characters are mentioned in the Farseer trilogy, or like they're referred to, and then this book, Liveship Traders, is them centered. But that's what's interesting about like Robin Hobb is she, like with the Dragonlance books, she creates a whole world. like the Drylands books, or even Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere, where there's this whole world in each series of books. Each series is about a different part of the world, a different set of characters, and they're all interlinked and interwoven, which I think is really cool. It's amazing that there are authors that can do that, and Stephen King does that in a way too. I mean, it's a little different, but it's still kind of where all the different universe, all of his different stories, most of them are interconnected in some way. And in fact, there's references throughout each of his books referring to his other works, his other novels. And now that I'm more aware of it and I'm reading more of his books, which unfortunately I don't have an update on the Stephen King project, but I did get back into the Needful Things, and I'm almost done with I'm almost on to chapter 8. But anyway, that's all I have for update on Stephen King. And I did, like you guys know, I did get Joe Hill, his son's book. I finally bought Nos for A2 and started reading that. But he's all like, now I'm starting to notice all the little references to his other books as well, via, like I'm noticing in Needful Things, and I'm trying to think of other books, his other works that I've read so far recently, where like I don't know if Misery or if Pet Sematary made reference. I'm sure it did. I'm sure they did, because they're part of the same universe. But again, like Brandon Sanderson's, not all his books are part of the universe. Some of them are, in different, like a lot of his novellas or short stories are not necessarily part of the main universe. But I was reading 4 Past Midnight, The Library Policeman. I finally read that one, and then the other one, The Sundog, I finally read that one too. And I kept thinking that the villain in The Library Policeman made me think of Pennywise a little bit, with her personality, what she could do and stuff. It very much made me think of the type of creature that Pennywise is, and I'm wondering, are they the same, or part of the same universe, or whatever? Are they the same species or whatever? But anyway, I'll never know if that's the case or not. But anyway, so, this is the one that took me the longest to get. It didn't, and I don't know how it works. I guess whatever book they come across, they have, whichever edition they have available, they will get it. I will get it. Like, I ended up getting, not realizing it, I wanted to get on Amazon, the second book in the Seven Waters series, and I'm getting and the one I ordered came from Thrift Books, and that's when I started thinking about Thrift Books, and considering of signing up for it, if, Mom was cool with it, if my mom was cool with it. But that one, the second one, Sons of Shadows, or something, that second one, it was from there, and it was not I was thinking I was going to get a mass market paperback, but it's actually a big trade paperback. So it looks a little different on my shelf. It stands out a little bit, like it, compared to the other books in this series. It's tall, but I'm not one of those people who's, like, again, I don't worry about that too much. It doesn't bother me if a book is not the same size, or if I only have, most are in paperback and one is in hardback, or the reverse, where all of them are in paperback, and they're all hardback, but one is in paperback. Because that doesn't bother me. I personally don't care about that. I just want to have the book to read. But, now what I do care about is I'm starting to, like, prefer reading paperbacks. But it's not like I'm going to buy multiple copies of the same book, like have 2 copies of the same book, just because I prefer reading paperback, but I like the look of a hardback. I feel like that's not very practical. And, I work in a grocery store, so I don't make a huge lot of money. I had governmentships and government jobs. You get paid really well, but eventually, it's not like I did not stay with that job. I'm living in a place that does not have that available. Unless I wanted to go to, like, I guess working at Fort Bragg is would be the closest to that, but, I would have to drive there, so, and I don't drive, so it's not like I was going to do that. But anyway, so like, yeah, so I mean, I had some money of that because it's not like I spent all that. I was not gonna spend all that money that I got from those internships. But I still work at a grocery store, so it's not like it's not that great. I don't get. I'm not gonna get paid a whole lot, but it's a nice position. It's not ideal, but it's very close. But anyway, so I'm not gonna waste money on buying two copies of the same book just so I can have an aesthetically pleasing one and the one that's easier to read. I mean, if you do that, you do you. If you like doing that, then I'm not. But anyway, so just like I said, just so you know, it did take me a while to get this book. And I don't know why. I guess I don't know if it's because of what's going on as far as, people they don't have maybe they're understaffed or something, or maybe it just took a long time for me to get this kind of edition of a book. I like this color. Oh, Mad Ship is the second one. The Ship of Magic is the first one, which Ship of Magic I already had. So I don't know if it was like because that company's understaffed, or maybe it just has to do with like, making sure they get the right book, and maybe it was easier to get those two classics than to get this one. Get a copy of this one. So I'm gonna soon. I'm gonna order, and the next one I'm gonna order the fourth book in the Temeraire series, and then or it might be the fifth one. Or no, I think the fourth one in the Temeraire series, and then the second book in the Live Ship Trader series. Next time I go back, I'm gonna have to wait a little while before I order that. But like I said, I keep determining that what I'm gonna do is read a book from each shelf, each one of my shelves, because just grabbing a book off of each one of those shelves so I already got a book from the top shelf that I'm currently reading, which is the Dickens David Copperfield. And I got one from over there, which is Needful Things. I'm working on that one still, on and off. And then I gotta pick a book from one of these shelves as well. These three. Well, or I guess four. Because yeah, the David Copperfield is off that very top shelf. Right there, if you can, right up there, by the pillow where you can see the pillow. So I guess I need a book from that one, and that one, and that one, and that one, and that one. So, I figure that's a good way too. That way I can pick a book from each shelf. But and slowly knock them down, because like I said, I'm doing Holly Hart's books thing where she has all of them turned out so you only see the pages, and once you read it, turning the spines. But anyway, yeah, so my coffee's cold right now. So anyway, that is what's going on, and unfortunately I'm starting to feel that tired sensation. And I want to get at least a little bit more of David Copperfield read. It's just, I keep getting sidetracked, and like I said, I'm kind of obsessing over Tom Hiddleston. And I'm one of those people that used to write fan fiction, and I still haven't entirely let go of that. So now I still kind of plan out things of stories in my head that are fan fiction related. And I come up with characters that probably should not have a love interest, but it's a self-insert kind of. I admit it's basically whenever it's a character I have a crush on, even the ones that I shouldn't have a crush on, but they're just so charismatic and interesting to watch. So it's like it'd be so interesting if this character had a romantic love interest. So it's a way for me to insert. I admit that's a way for me to insert myself. But of course, they're not completely me. There is a difference. But I feel like when you create an original character, you run a risk of that character being just essentially a self-insert version of you, or like a version of you that you would like to be, like a fantasy version of yourself. But so I'm kind of into that right now, and I still have not. I wrote that I mentioned to you guys that I did write kind of a fan fiction intimate scene between my favorite couple that we didn't get on screen from Charmed, the new one, the Charmed reboot. I still feel like I have to clarify that. And I have not worked on that one because now I'm all into Marvel and Loki and Tom Hiddleston and stuff right now. So I keep opening that document up, but then I never get back to that day because I get sidetracked. But I do want to finish that one. I don't know if I ever will because I keep changing it and stuff, and it's like that's the one thing I can actually write. You know, I have ideas I want to write, but I don't have the discipline, or I don't get myself to be like, okay, I want to write an actual book that is not fan fiction. But as some people will probably tell me, oh, you clearly don't want it. You know, maybe this means you don't want it enough that you can't discipline yourself to sit down and work on it. You know, to actually work on a story. I said I have the ideas, but they don't ever go anywhere. But anyway. So okay, I'm going to stop now and talk to you guys later. That's what's going on with my reading. Would love to know what's going on with your guys, what is going on with your reading. If you want to share, in the comments below. And if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Click subscribe if you haven't already, and click the bell notification below if you want to know when I upload and post more videos. And I will talk to y'all later. Bye!